welcome back to my channel. It's Dr. Jenny from the block, and if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you haven't already, please remember to like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at Dr. Jenny from the block. So today I want to jump in and talk a little bit about Black women and brown women, body image, and eating disorders. And this topic has just been something that's been on my mind for a while, but it's taken me a lot of time to actually create a video discussing it. And so what I've decided to do is to break it into a couple of parts, because I had posed this idea of talking about this topic on my social media accounts, and the response was tremendous. And I feel like it would be too much trying to cover all the different things that people were bringing up. So for today's video, I just wanted to focus on a couple of factors that put Black and brown women at risk for developing disordered eating and body image concerns. This topic is also important to address because Black women are consistently underdiagnosed when it comes to eating disorders, and more often sent away and not provided treatment. Typically, when I ask people, who do you feel like experiences body image concerns or eating disorders, the answer I get is a young white woman, middle class, attractive. And that's typically what we see, whether it's in movies, commercials, advertisements, etc. We aren't really seeing just the full range of demographic identities that get impacted by eating disorders and body image concerns. So contrary to what the media may show us, people regardless of identities are susceptible to experiencing and or developing some body image issues or some disordered eating behaviors. So first I wanted to share some data, just a couple pieces of information about how eating disorders impact Black and brown folks. So I'll give you a second to look over this. And this information was provided by the National Eating Disorders Association, NEDA. And they do have a great website full of resources that you can check out, and I highly recommend it. It's a very supportive space, educative space. So the first factor I want to highlight is colorism. And for those who are unfamiliar with the term, colorism is discrimination based on skin tone. So historically in the United States, we have struggled with a legacy of skin tone politics, whereas those who have lighter skin and have more Eurocentric features are typically prized higher than those with darker skin and more Negroid features. This has been something that has been studied extensively across different disciplines, so I'll leave the research up to you, but feel free to check it out if this is something that you're not quite familiar with. So, how does colorism influence the development of eating disorders and or body image concerns? So colorism perpetuates the intergenerational trauma that our ancestors until now have experienced when thinking about skin tone. And due to the stressful nature and micro and macroaggressions that people experience due to their skin tone, people may start to experience symptoms of low self-esteem. And low self-esteem is highly correlated with the development of body image issues, which then can also evolve into disordered eating behaviors and patterns. And this is especially true due to the rejection and mistreatment that people experience because of their skin tone, which is a trait that many of us can't control. Some might try to utilize painful chemical processes or UV lights to achieve a desired skin tone. So disordered behavior might develop due to the desire to alleviate feelings of rejection and mistreatment that people may experience because of their skin tone. The next factor to consider is hair. Black women's hair is very politicized, especially in this country, and it's like a $1 trillion business, maybe $1 billion, but it's a big business. And so with that, what we've seen in the American system is discrimination based upon hair. And recently, in the last year or so, many states have been passing the Crown Act, and it's even crazy to say that we have to create laws to protect our natural hair. So folks like me who have locks or other natural styles that are not assimilating to white culture, which is like straight hair, we may experience increased discrimination. Recent research has shown that students, and so kids K through 12, who experience discrimination based on hair are at a significantly higher risk of developing disordered eating. So the next factor to consider is our bodies. So within the Black and brown communities, we have different values regarding what type of bodies are desirable. And one thing to note is that what is in now in terms of how we look may not even be a thing 50 years from now. But currently, it seems that Black and brown communities value voluptuous bodies. So little waists, big breasts, big bottoms, wide hips, etc. And for those women who do fit that body type within the Black and brown community, they may experience like increase in positive benefits, self-esteem, etc. And for those who don't, insert some forms of low self-esteem, which then can also lead to the body image concerns and eating disorders. Another piece to that is that we just don't exist in our Black and brown world. In our country, it is a predominantly white country. Many of us go to predominantly white institutions or work in jobs where we are not the majority. And so when we are crossing those different spaces, we then enter into a part of society that doesn't necessarily value voluptuous figures. Typically what we see in the Eurocentric cultures is that there is value on thinness, petite body styles, straight hair. But the point is, we have to navigate body politics within our respective racial ethnic groups, and then we have to go into the world and navigate and negotiate in the Eurocentric values that our country is founded upon. So the next important factor is compounding stress. When we are experiencing continuous and seemingly non-stop stress, we may not be utilizing healthy and helpful coping strategies to manage our emotional experiences. So when that happens, many folks turn to food to provide some of that relief from stress and to give comfort. And we see this a lot with people who experience trauma, turning to food to cope with past traumas. So this is a perfect segue to talking about trauma's role in the development of eating disorders. So research has shown us time and time again that trauma is a strong correlate with people developing disordered eating patterns. What research has also shown us is that Black women and children experience higher rates of trauma than other groups and may struggle to have the adequate resources to cope with these traumas. What we have found is that children will develop binging habits to increase positive experiences. So the food makes them happy, it makes them feel safe, and is something that they use to take care of themselves. Whereas with Black women, we see binging and purging behaviors. So the women will binge in order to numb negative feelings and then purge to alleviate the guilt and shame around what has happened to them or even the binging behavior. And I want to add that witnessing violence and Black death is a trauma. And so you have people who are witnessing this all around the country. And although we may cope in a number of different ways, unfortunately for some of us, utilizing food may be a way in which they buffer those traumatic effects. So the last factor I want to talk about is social justice issues and equity. So when we think about equity, it's creating a level playing field for all people to have access to the same resources. And studies have shown that Black and brown women are usually the lowest paid groups when we think about economic advancement. We get paid less on the dollar than white men do, and significantly less on the dollar, might I add. In addition, our bodies as women are often politicized. Right now, one of the concerns that I've been talking to a number of people about has to do with our Supreme Court. Right now, the Supreme Court is a majority conservative court, and with the new appointee, there is concern and fear of reversing some of the protections and rights that we have for our own bodies and our abilities to make decisions about our own bodies. So when you take that into account, that leaves many people feeling helpless and powerless. Lastly, Black and brown women often have less access to vital resources that they need to not only take care of themselves, but oftentimes their families. So when you think about these different factors working together, women, Black and brown women, may utilize food to help cope. When you can control what you eat, when you can control what you're vomiting up, that gives you a sense of control that you may not feel in your everyday life. And it's a way to cope with the little power that we have and the minimal opportunities for advancement. So these are some of the factors that I think we need to think about and take into account when we think about who experiences eating disorders and body image concerns. So I hope this information was informative and helpful. like I said, I plan on doing a couple other parts because this topic is very expansive and I could talk about a number of different things. So I appreciate you all per usual for checking me out and supporting my content. And please remember to like, subscribe, share my videos, turn on the notification bell so you can be notified when I'm dropping these gems, and follow me on Instagram at Dr. Jenny from the Block. All right, y'all. So until the next time, take care. Bye.